Welcome back to Spaces and Shadows. You are listening to episode 5 of my 911 Lone Star fanfiction titled A New Beginning. This audio feature mature LGBTQ plus themes, sexual references, and sound effects that may be unsettling for certain listeners. Discretion is advised. The text may be found in my archive of our own profile. Link is in the description.
Previously on 911 Lone Star by Spaces and Shadows.
This is 363H20. Officer Reyes, I'm in pursuit of a possible armed suspect. Jonathan, put down your weapon. Let's talk.
You should have been dead when I shot you. But I'm gonna make sure that you stay dead this time. And then I'll aim for your fiancé next! It's over, Carlos. I'll say your goodbyes to your fiancé.
Oh, weekend. Dude, you're bleeding. Oh, it's bad.
Carlos, hang in there, Carlos.
Damn it, boy, I told you to stay home.
Now don't get mad. I'm not saying I drove your car to the hospital, but I did because it's better than leaving it in the parking lot with the keys in the ignition.
Donnie said, tilting his head left and right with a hand in front of his chest. Carlos chuckled and shook his head as he adjusted himself to a more comfortable position on the bed. Carlos, baby! TK ran into the room calling out to Carlos.
Hey, TK. Nice to finally meet you. I'll leave you guys to it.
Donnie said as he stood up from his seat.
It's a pretty damn fast car.
Donnie whispered to Carlos before making his way out. TK sat on the bed by Carlos's side and stroked Carlos's face with the back of his palm. Hey baby, TK said. TK, I know what you're gonna say, Carlos said before getting interrupted by TK. You blew it. I blew it, I know. I'm sorry, I should have been more careful, Carlos said before getting interrupted again. No, you don't know. You blew your stitches wide open. The doctor had to stitch you up again, and guess what? You're on another week of medical leave, mister. Oh, glad it wasn't because of another gunshot, Carlos exhaled. Maybe it's not a bad idea to take a break this time, Carlos said, rolling his eyes. And I can finally have you all to myself, TK said. I heard what you did with the pen I gave you. I think it's probably the best gift I have ever given you. TK chuckled and gave Carlos a kiss on the lips. I thought you'd be upset, Carlos said. Yes, but I'm just glad you're okay. And I can't stay mad at you because I gave you my blessing to do this, TK said. They turned their attention to the television suspended on the ceiling when a familiar story was being covered by the reporter.
Breaking news. A wanted drug trafficker attacked an Austin police officer.
TK picked up the remote and turned the volume up.
31-year-old Jonathan Reeves was arrested and taken to a hospital after attempting to murder a police officer twice on different occasions. The police officer in question is injured but stable and hailed as a hero by members of the public after a long list of crimes committed by Jonathan Reeves was made public.
TK turned the television off and rested his forehead on Carlos's and rubbed Carlos's face with his thumb. They both gave a wide, gummy smile. You hear that, babe? You're a hero. You always were, TK whispered, reminding Carlos that he was great at his work and his contributions to the APD was significant. Baby, the pen you gifted saved me. You, TK, you're my hero, and you always were. Carlos gripped onto the back of TK's shirt tightly and pulled him in for passionate kisses, mouth to mouth. You wanted to see me, Cap? Carlos said, standing by the door of the captain's office. He was back in the APD after his medical leave and cleared his medical examination. It was his first day back after a break, and he was not looking forward to speak with the captain, pressured with tons of paperwork to fill out regarding Jonathan's case. A scolding from the captain was something he didn't need. Officer Reyes, welcome back. Why don't you take a seat? Captain Nelson said, leaning forward on his desk with his hands interlocked. Carlos cautiously stepped into the office and took a seat. Now, I would charge you for dangerous driving, but apparently there's no reported incidents of property damage or injuries caused to civilians on your end. Officer Miller vouched that you were a great driver, but please, don't do that again. I'm sorry, Captain. It won't happen again, Carlos said, looking down on his boots. On the other hand, the both of you went against my orders and took this case on your own. You boys made quite a mess in the parking lot, Captain Nelson said with a face of disapproval. Carlos was nervous and was prepared to be disciplined. I'm going to let it slide, the captain sighed, tilting his head to the side. Just please, Officer Reyes, call for backup next time, will you? Yes, Captain. Sorry. Carlos was relieved and relaxed the tension on his shoulders. Now, how about we schedule you for the sergeant examination? Captain Nelson smiled. Really? Carlos's eyes widened. He thought he blew the opportunity to get a promotion when his initial operation to raid Jonathan at his apartment failed. But I don't feel like I deserve it. Officer Reyes, you did great work, and your contributions to the APD haven't gone unnoticed. Yes, you were a little reckless last week, but there's nobody else I would recommend to take on the role of a sergeant. We could really use more of you out there. Carlos tried to control his breathing from the excitement that was about to take over him. He looked up to see the captain in his eyes and proudly said, Captain, thank you. I'll be happy to take the examination.
All units, we have an armed robbery at the corner store of Goodwin Avenue and Weberville Road. Any available units, please respond.
363H20 responding. ETA 2 minutes. Carlos spoke into the radio, put on his shades, and activated the siren on his cruiser. Carlos pulled over by the roadside of a small convenience store. He burst open the doors with a pistol in his hand, aiming at the robber who was pointing a knife at the cashier. Drop your weapon! Drop your weapon! Carlos ordered. His well-built physique, complemented by his dominant voice, was enough to scare the robber to comply. Let me see those hands up, right now! Carlos cautiously walked forward and cuffed the robber. You okay, ma'am? Carlos pulled down his shades and asked if the cashier was okay. Although shaken up by the incident, the cashier grinned when she saw the beautiful eyes of the policeman who saved her. She blushed and nodded repeatedly to acknowledge.
Hey, do you have a girlfriend?
Sorry, I have a fiancé and we're getting married soon. Carlos winked and the cashier pouted with disappointment. Dispatch, this is 363H20. Suspect is in custody.
Copy that, 363H20. Good work, Sergeant.
It was Carlos's first day wearing the ranks of a sergeant. He responded to his first call and made his first arrest. As he walked into the bullpen of the Austin Police Department, all of his colleagues stopped their work and rose from their desk to give Carlos a warm, congratulatory round of applause. Carlos blushed and gave a wide gummy smile as he made his way through shaking the hands of his eager colleagues who were filled with excitement that their favorite person was promoted to lead them.
Congratulations, Carlos, or should I say Sergeant Reyes. You ain't no baby of the APD anymore.
Sergeant Daniel said, giving Carlos a friendly hug and then rubbing his hair to mess it up.
We're proud of you, Carlos. You deserve this.
Carlos! Carlos! Carlos!
Donnie emerged from the crowd and launched forward to give Carlos a tight hug.
Can I still call you Carlos? Or Sergeant Reyes?
Carlos is fine. Carlos chuckled.
Speech! Speech! Speech!
Alright.
Speech! Speech!
Alright, alright.
Woo!
Well, I'm not really a man to give a speech, so I'll stick to heartfelt. The crowd silenced, smiling and feeling proud of their promoted colleague. 5 years ago, when I joined the APD, I came in as a rookie and I just wanted to do my part and do my best to serve the community. But it was all of you who showed me the ropes and made me who I am today, Carlos said, sweeping his index finger from the left to the right to include everyone in his speech. I can't tell you how honored I am to lead Austin's finest officers. I'll continue to do my best. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Everyone broke into a cheer. Captain Nelson was standing from a distance outside of his office, observing the joyful event. He smiled and nodded as he felt that he chose the right candidate, someone who was dedicated, hardworking, takes pride in his work, and most importantly, well loved by everyone. Carlos walked to his new desk. It was a little further back from where he used to sit. He took a seat on his new and much more comfortable office chair, swiveled around before rubbing his hands on a much bigger desk that he could not wait to start organizing. He smiled when he saw the metal nameplate engraved with the words Sergeant Carlos Reyes at the front of his desk. He laid the pair of his favorite pens gifted by TK for Valentine's Day in a parallel fashion in the middle of the desk and stared at it for a couple of seconds before he decided to slip one into his pocket. It was the very same one that he used to stab Jonathan with, the very same one that saved his life. He intended to carry it with him whenever he's out on a call to remind him that TK, the love of his life, is waiting for him to come home safe. Carlos was woken up from his daze to the sight of his former partner, Officer Mitchell, smiling as she hands a file to him.
Sergeant, can you take a look at these for me?
Mitchell, you don't have to call me Sergeant. Carlos is fine. Carlos chuckled as he flipped through the file.
Hey, you've earned it. And we're all really proud of you.
Mitchell said before leaving Carlos to his work. Go, 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 hide, he's coming. Excited whispers from TK as Marjan, Mateo and Paul scrambled to hide and Nancy took cover behind the potted plant that was obviously not tall enough to cover her. Hey babe, TK said, trying to stop himself from bursting into laughter as Carlos walked in. What is this? Carlos said, frowning and confused as he noticed helium balloons and a large decorated paper sign that reads, Sergeant Carlos, arrest me, hanging from the ceiling. Surprise! Oh my god! Carlos yelled, throwing his briefcase, narrowly missing TK, as the 126 crew popped out from all directions, firing putty poppers towards him. Upon seeing his beloved friends, Carlos's eyes gleamed and he gawked with his mouth wide open in delight.
Ah, congratulations, man. We're so proud of you.
Paul said. The 126 crew gathered around Carlos and took turns to give him a hug. Nancy stepped forward to Carlos to present him with a white cake that spelled congratulations in red. Oh, this looks like a baby cake, Carlos said, tilting his head as he tried to hold back himself from questioning the over-the-top cake design that was fit for a baby shower gathering.
Tell me about it. When TK and I picked up the cake, they asked if we were having a boy or a girl.
Nancy said, rolling her eyes as the rest of the crew laughed. TK was feeding several spoonsful of cake to Carlos. He accidentally got some cake on Carlos's nose and Mateo chanted for TK to lick it off.
Lick it off. Lick it
Without
off.
hesitation, TK leaned forward to lick it off Carlos's nose and winked at the crew.
Get in the room, guys.
Marjan was covering her eyes but left a gap in between her fingers to peek. Carlos headed to the bathroom to change out of his uniform while everyone was gathered on the couch, talking about the crazy call they had during the shift earlier on. Several minutes later, Carlos waddled his way back to join the crew with a box of board game in his hands. Alright, who's up for a game of Catan? Carlos was excited. It was his favorite way to spend time with TK and the crew.
I think we're not gonna have time for that.
Nancy said after she took a glance at her watch. What? Why? Who doesn't have time for Catan? TK was disappointed. He didn't expect everyone to be leaving the party so soon. Nobody has time for Catan tonight because we have another surprise. But this time, it's for the both of you. We're taking you guys somewhere in a bit, Mateo said, pulling the box of Catan off Carlos's hands as Carlos pouted. TK and Carlos exchanged confused expressions to try to make out what the crew was planning for them. What are you guys up to? TK was smiling. He always loved surprises, and the 126 crew always does a great job at that. On the other hand, surprises make Carlos nervous. Where are you taking us? Should we get changed? Carlos was stuttering from the nerves.
Oh, you'll find out soon enough. Your ride's coming any minute now.
Nancy said, resting her chin on her knuckles while raising her eyebrows several times to tease.
Oh, that's your ride.
Carlos walked towards the door cautiously in case another person decides to fire more party poppers to scare him. He opened the door slowly to reveal his colleague, Donnie, decked out in a suit and tie.
Hi!
Donnie, why are you wearing a... Wait, did we miss someone's funeral? Carlos turned around to ask the crew. He wasn't kidding. Donnie's formal suit only added more to the confusion.
Carlos, why would someone's funeral be the surprise?
Nancy shook her head, frowned, and squinted her eyes. Paul nodded his head to Donnie, signaling him that it was the right opportunity. As Carlos was back-facing, Donnie quickly covered Carlos's eyes with a blindfold. At the same time, Paul held TK down while Nancy and Marjan blindfolded TK. Hey, what's this for? Where are you taking us? TK said with excitement as Paul and Nancy escorted him out of the loft.
Oh, we ain't telling you. This is a kidnap.
Donnie teased as he escorted Carlos.
Ground level.
Watch out, watch out! I can't see where I'm going. They made it down to the street, and Donnie got into the driver's seat of a parked car. Mateo assisted to open the doors for the blindfolded couple to get in the car.
Mind your heads.
Marjan said, putting a hand on TK's head as he got into the car.
We'll see you on the other side.
Mateo yelled as the car pulled away. Carlos and TK held hands as they sat silently in the back of the car. TK couldn't see a thing through the blindfold, but could imagine Carlos's worried face as he felt Carlos's hand trembling. TK was smiling from the excitement, but took a moment to rest his head on Carlos's shoulder to calm him down. Carlos took a deep breath, licked his lips, and tried to stay calm. I'm not liking this, Carlos muttered as he slowly raised a hand with the intention to lift up his blindfold to take a peek. But before he could remove the blindfold, he was caught by Donnie.
No peeking. I'm watching you.
Donnie said, glancing at the rear view mirror several times while focusing to drive. Donnie, I swear to God, if this is a prank, I'm gonna find a way to send you back to the NYPD. Carlos reluctantly complied to Donnie's order and rested his hands on his knees.
Now don't you play your rank on me, Sergeant. I'm the one who's holding all the cards right now.
Donnie chuckled.
Damn, this traffic's nuts. We're not gonna make it in time.
Donnie had turned on the siren to get by traffic. Is that a siren? Are we in a police car? TK questioned, sitting upright on the seat. Carlos's hands reached forward and felt the seat divider grills in front of him, which separates the back seats from the front to protect the driver, similar to how a police car would be. Yup, definitely a patrol car. Carlos confirmed TK's suspicion. You better tell us what's going on, Donnie.
Just wait a moment. Jeez, we're almost there,
Donnie said while making a turn at the junction. After a few more minutes into the drive, Carlos and TK felt the car slowing down.
Okay, gentlemen, you may remove your blindfolds now.
To prevent anyone from passing out from the surprise, he decided that it was time to spill the beans and let the couple prepare themselves for what's about to come in a few moments. Okay, we're definitely in a police car. That was the first thing TK came to realize upon removing his blindfold. Not just any police car. This one's mine. Carlos was sure of it as he spotted the lizard Lucky Charm he hanged on the rear view mirror. The road they were traveling on wasn't lit well, but despite the darkness of the night, Carlos's eyes adjusted and focused on the hood of the car. It was decorated with lines of red fabric and a large blue ribbon tied to the crash bar at the front. Why is my cruiser decorated with a blue ribbon on the hood? Carlos asked with a raised eyebrow. Donnie turned his head around for a moment to give Carlos a wide smile and kept his silence. TK noticed headlights that are reflecting on the rear view mirror, and they were getting too close. He turned his head around to see a convoy of police cars and an ambulance belonging to the 126. Babe, you might want to see this. TK nudged Carlos on his arms. At this moment, Donnie flicked the switch to turn on the siren and beacon lights. All the police cars and ambulance behind followed suit and lit up their beacon lights simultaneously, glowing the night sky and flooding the road with flashes of red and blue. Carlos couldn't hold back a chuckle as he observed TK smiling and looking out the rear window with excitement. This adorable moment led Carlos to reach for TK's face and gave several gentle rubs with his thumb. They finally realized they were pulling into the Greenview Resorts when they passed a giant sign that welcomed visitors to Lake Bastrop. Babe, I think we're getting married tonight. TK said as he looked into Carlos's eyes and held on to his hands. TK and Carlos shared a gummy smile.
Haha! Glad you guys got it figured out. Now I know it's not a limousine, but I made it work.
Donnie, how did this happen? Carlos asked.
I know the both of you ain't getting your money back for the cancelled wedding. So we made sure that the both of you are getting what you paid for.
Donnie said as he recalled his conversation with Carlos during their stakeout for the case of Jonathan Reeves.
It broke my heart because I relate to your story, Carlos. We are not gonna watch the both of you have your wedding in the loft. You both deserve more than that.
Carlos was more confused than ever.
Yeah, we. Just so you know, I may have spoken about it to our captain. And TK, it made the plan a lot easier when the captain of the 126 is your dad.
Donnie chuckled as he took several glances at the rear view mirror to see Carlos and TK listening attentively.
Your dad linked me up with the 126 crew to come up with a plan. We pulled some strings and worked things out with the manager of the resort, and BAM! Here we are, baby!
The car pulled into the main lobby of Greenview Resorts and came to a stop. Donnie turned around and said,
Extraordinary people like the both of you deserve an extraordinary wedding. Everyone at the APD and the 126 ain't gonna settle for anything less for the both of you.
Donnie, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to thank you for this. Carlos was lost for words. Carlos and TK both knew they were well loved by their colleagues, but didn't expect that they would go all out and out of their way to help make this happen.
You don't have to, partner. Now go get married, you two.
Donnie chuckled as he shooed the couple out of the car. The reception staff of the resort opened the doors on each side of the car to let Carlos and TK out. Donnie, why don't you be my best man? Carlos ducked his head back into the car to ask Donnie.
Carlos, you'll be my honor, but I can't accept that. Your best man and women are already waiting.
Donnie winked. Carlos stood at the driveway as Donnie pulled away and drove towards the parking lot. Although their friendship didn't have a good start, he looked up to the night sky to thank his lucky stars that fate brought Donnie to him. There was so much to be grateful for, but there wasn't enough time for him to appreciate everyone. Babe, you okay? TK smiled as he stepped closer to Carlos and held onto his arm. Yeah, I'm more than okay, Carlos said, turning his body to face TK and held on to both of TK's hands. I'm beyond grateful that I'm about to get another opportunity to marry the love of my life. Then let's not wait any longer, Carlos. Because every moment that we're not married is a wasted moment, and we only get so many. Carlos finished TK's sentence.
Gentlemen, the groom's men and women are waiting. Could you kindly follow me, please?
An usher approached and invited the couple to step into the lobby. Let's go get married, TK said. And you've made it through episode 5. As promised, no more hurt, Carlos, and only good things to come for Talos. This episode was meant to tie up all the loose ends and act as a bridge for the wedding episode coming up next on episode 6. Once again, there's no preview for the next episode to prevent any spoilers, but I hope you guys are as excited as I am to finally wrap this season up with the wedding that they deserve. I had a lot of fun making this episode, bringing in some other characters from 911 Lone Star. I hope you guys had fun with the heartwarming scenes, humor, and joyful suspense that Talos had to go through. Here's a shout out to the amazing people on the screen. Thank you once again for being the best and supporting my journey. And thank you everyone for coming back to catch this episode. I love all of you and I'm very grateful for each and every one of you out there for being here and following this story. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the series so far and what you hope to see for the future of Tarlos. I read every single one of your comments, and don't be shy to interact with me on Twitter at Spaces and Shadows. I'd love to have a lot more friends to freak out over the 911 universe. Ronan, Rafa, and the rest of the 126 cast, if you're watching this, I love you all. And Fox Studios, call me anytime. Take care, be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys soon.